Hey, what's up, guys? Rico the Artist here again. So, you are fed up with your foundation that you currently have right now, and you're thinking about switching to maybe a MAC foundation, but when you go in the store, there is like a million of them. Because let's be honest, there really is a million different MAC foundations. And so it's overwhelming, and you try to figure out, well, maybe which one's for me. And you ask a MAC artist, but you still kind of want to feel like you have some information, you've done your homework, you don't want to seem totally clueless about what you're asking for. So if this is you, then stay tuned because that's what I'm going to go over. I'm going to be going over different foundations that MAC makes, and maybe it'll help guide you in the right direction for what you're looking for. Alright, so I'm going to start off with one of the oldest foundations that MAC carries, and the one that's been lasting through the times of MAC, which is Studio Face and Body. So Studio Face and Body is a very sheer coverage foundation. It was originally created for the TV show Baywatch. So if you're not familiar with that TV show, it was obviously about lifeguards on a beach and things like that. They were saving lives. But they needed to have some color to their skin and some perfection, but they also needed it to be waterproof. Well, then became the birth of MAC Face and Body. So this is a foundation that I feel like if somebody is just starting out to wear makeup, if you're a younger teenager that's just getting into makeup and you don't want a whole lot, or if you're just an everyday woman that wants just a little slight perfection to the skin, then I feel like Face and Body is definitely going to be for you. It is a satin finish, which that means is it's going to have a little bit of shine to it. It's not completely matte, but it's not super dewy either. So if you like that finish, then maybe Face and Body is going to be for you. And with all these foundations, I'm also going to give my recommendation of what brush you can use as well. The 132 brush is an excellent brush to use for this foundation, simply because it glides it onto the skin really, really, really pretty. It's also going to give more of a natural finish. It's not meant to give a whole lot of coverage, which Face and Body is also not going to give you a lot of coverage anyways. So I think that this 132 brush is definitely going to be a great route for you. Next up, Studio Water Weight. So Studio Water Weight is a fairly new foundation. It was released, I believe, about a couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago. And it's doing really, really great. It is a foundation that has also a very sheer coverage. It's also very hydrating to the skin. If you want coverage to it though, I've seen some people add the Studio Perfecting Powder, kind of mix it in together to give them a little bit more coverage. Some people have added Pro Longwear Concealer to it as well. So it's kind of workable and mixes well with other things, and it also sits very nicely on the skin. It's also a satin finish, just like Face and Body is, so it's going to have some shine to it, but not a whole lot. It's not completely matte either. This one I would probably say you could use if you have some dry skin. I probably wouldn't recommend it if you are oily, unless you're going to pair it up with a powder as well. So if you want to do this one, then like I said, just make sure that you are pairing up with the powder, and if you have dry skin, this is going to be a really great formula for you. If you don't want a whole lot of coverage, you don't like a lot on the skin, I think this one's really great. This one's going to be really great with the 196 brush. I feel like this one it's a flat brush. It was launched with the actual foundation. It picks up the foundation and puts it on the skin really nicely. It looks weird because it's flat and it's at an angle, but trust me, it will work really, really nicely on the skin. So don't be afraid of it. Try it. Ask your MAC artist at your local MAC to see if they can show you how it works, and then go from there. Now we've come to Matchmaster. So Matchmaster is a really great formula. It is very unique to MAC as well. It does what any other foundation can't do, and what that basically means is it changes colors based on who wears it. So it essentially has clear particles in the actual foundation that once it lays on the skin, it's going to pick up what's underneath it. And we like to say that Matchmaster is going to be a foundation that you're going to go to if, say, you're trying to find your color in one of the other lines of foundation and you can't quite get it right. Typically, Matchmaster is going to get it for you because it, like I said, changes colors based on who's wearing it. This one is also going to give you a very matte finish. So if you are dry skin and you're trying to find your color and you can't, then you can still use this, but just make sure that you pair it up with a really great moisturizer, and then you can use Matchmaster. But because it has a matte finish and you do have dry skin, I wouldn't recommend using it by itself, because in sense you're only working against yourself as opposed to helping look your best. So that one's a really great one, and Matchmaster is really, really popular. The only thing about Matchmaster though is that it runs in different shades, and by that I mean the different numbers of shades. So like this one's going to be like 1, 2, 3, 3.5, 4, things like that. It's not like the other ones where they're going to be in W's and C's, things like that. So this one you will have to get matched if you are currently using a MAC foundation and you want to switch to Matchmaster. Then you will have to get rematched for this one because they run a little bit differently as far as the numbers go. The brush that I would recommend for this one is a 170. This one's similar to the one that you use for Studio Water Weight, except for this one is going to be a tan color fiber, and it's going to be more rounded at the top of it instead of straight flat angle like the 196. So the 170 is really great. You're going to hear me talk about it with other foundations simply because it's a great brush. I feel like that one gives you really nice coverage. It buffs it into the skin really nicely, and it doesn't look like you have a whole lot, but it does cover up all the imperfections underneath it. So like I said, if you're having trouble finding your color in other foundations or even other lines of MAC, then I would definitely try Matchmaster because it's a really great formula. Alright, now, so we're going to talk about House of Studio. So House of Studio is a couple of different foundations, but the first one in this particular line that I want to talk about is Studio Sculpt. So Studio Sculpt is a great foundation. It's a gel-based formula, so it's a little different than everything else that MAC carries. And what makes it different in that sense is that it's really great for dry skin. So once it's on the skin, it's going to lock in moisture, and it's going to help you keep that moisture throughout the day. It's also one of the foundations that's great for dry skin that also gives you really good coverage. So this one is also an oldie but goodie. People absolutely love this one. I think I love this one as well. It's going to give you a very natural finish. So what that basically means is that your skin naturally has a shine to it. So when you put this foundation on top of it, it's also going to have a shine to it. So it's not going to make you matte like Matchmaster does, or if you're wearing a powder or something like that, which you can pair it up with the powder. If you do, I would probably recommend Mineralized Skin Finish. You don't want anything that's too drying to the skin, because then, like I said, you're going to be working against yourself, and you want your skin to look the best. You want it to look plump, and you want it to look really, really moisturized. So Studio Sculpt is really great. This particular one, I probably would use a 109 brush. The 109 is one of my absolute favorite brushes to put foundation on with. It was originally created as a contouring powder brush, but Makeup Artist Secret, it's absolutely great for foundation. Try it. Sometimes with the old natural fiber 109s, you will have some breakage, so it's going to have little pieces of hair. Sometimes it will come out because it wasn't originally meant for liquids. It was created for powders. But if you get yourself a synthetic version of the 109, which just launched, then you won't have any breakage like that, and it will definitely give you the same outcome that the original 109 did. I use 109 a lot for a lot of different foundations, so you're going to hear me say that a lot about other foundations as well. But like I said, so Studio Sculpt is great if you are dry skin. If you're oily, I wouldn't recommend it unless you're using some oil control underneath it, because you will remain really oily if you wear this foundation. Or you can pair it up with a powder on top as well to kind of see where you want to go with that look. But just be aware, if you are oily, that you will be really shiny if you just wear it by itself. word of advice. Next up in House of Studio is Studio Tech. So this is a hybrid foundation, and what that means basically is that it's a powder and it's a cream together. It comes in a compact and it has a sponge underneath for application. Just because it has the sponge doesn't mean you have to apply it with the sponge, but you can if you want to, if you're on the go, whatever the case may be. The only reason I don't like sponges very much, especially the ones that come with the container, is because you're going to put it on your face, you're going to put it back in the compact, you're going to put it on your face and put it back in the compact, and that sponge never gets clean, and it picks up your oils on your skin, things like that, and you open yourself up to a whole lot of things that could happen with using the same sponge over and over and over. Now, MAC does sell replacement sponges that you can put inside the Studio Tech foundation itself, the compact, or you can just use a brush, clean the brush every time you use it, or once every other time, and you won't have that problem. So either way. Now, Studio Tech is going to be a medium coverage, and like I said, it's a cream to powder. So this one's also good if you have dry skin or if you have oily skin. Actually, both can use this one. If you have dry skin, I would recommend, again, using a good moisturizer and then the Studio Tech on top of it. That's only going to give you more moisture throughout the day because, like I said, it does dry as a powder. Now, the thing with Studio Tech is that you don't want to reapply it, even though it is portable, it's a compact. You don't want to keep reapplying it throughout the day. If you need touch-ups, you may want to get like a blot powder or a skin finish powder, something like that to touch up throughout the day, because if you continuously add, then it's going to start to look cakey, and it's going to break up, and it's just not going to be a good thing. So just make sure that you get something that's going to be a little bit better as far as lighter on the skin for touching up throughout the day. Now this one, I would also use the 170, which is the one that I talked about earlier. It's really great. It fits really nicely in the compact. Like I said, buffs into the skin very nicely, gives you a nice finish, and it looks very airbrushed almost once you use this brush. So try it out, see what you think, let me know. Next up is going to be our Studio Fix Powder Plus Foundation. So this is a pretty popular one because it is something that's very simple to use. It doesn't require a whole lot of work. It's pretty quick. And it is very like Studio Tech. It comes in a compact as well. It's going to have a sponge underneath. Same spiel as with Studio Tech. I would not recommend using that one over and over and over without replacing it, because again, you will open yourself up to different things that could happen with that foundation as well. Studio Fix Powder is also not going to be great if you have dry skin. And the reason I say that is because powders themselves absorb moisture. They're really great if you have oily skin, because throughout the day, once you get oily, that powder is only going to absorb that oil that's on your skin. But if you're dry, any moisture that you have on your skin, you don't want the powder to absorb that, because then you're like dry, looking like you're just walking through the desert. You don't want that. So make sure that if you have dry skin, do not use this product. And if you really want to use this product, then make sure that, again, you use a really good moisturizer underneath. Moisture Infusion and then like Studio Fix Moisture, I would combine those two together because Moisture Infusion is going to be something that sinks into the skin, and then Studio Fix Moisture is going to sit on top of the skin. So again, if you want to, yes, take a chance, try it out, but most of the time, most people that have dry skin do not like this product. So again, but you can try it yourself. The 109 is going to be great for this Studio Fix powder. It also buffs it into the skin really nicely. The thing I like about the 109 with the Studio Fix powder is that it gives really great coverage. Now, I will give you a secret that if you want to get coverage with the 109 and you have some Fix Plus, if you put the 109 in the Studio Fix powder, spray the brush, and then apply it to the skin, you'll actually get a little bit more coverage to the skin than you would by itself, just the 109 and the Studio Fix powder. Fix Plus does a lot of amazing things, and once you're done with your makeup with the Studio Fix powder, I always recommend using Fix Plus, because what Fix Plus is going to do is sit on the skin and then make it look as if it is naturally just without any product on it. It melts into the skin, so it makes all that powder look really natural on the skin. Because sometimes when you put these powders on your skin, it looks like super matte, and naturally we don't look super matte. So with Fix Plus, it's only going to make it look that much better. So if you don't have Fix Plus and you have Studio Fix powder, then go get that, because it's only going to help it make it look better. Alright, so now we've come to the most popular foundation in the House of Studio line, Studio Fix Fluid. Studio Fix Fluid is the star of the show. A lot of people love this foundation because of what it can do and what it looks like on the skin. So Studio Fix Fluid is a full coverage foundation. It controls oil and it has a matte finish. And it's also buildable, so if you want more than one layer, you can also do that and give you more coverage, more of a perfected look if you want to as well. So Studio Fix Fluid is a great foundation. I actually go to it a lot if you have trouble controlling your oil, or if you have normal skin, it works really great for you too. It can also work for dry skin as well if you use a good moisturizer underneath it. And it's just an all-around great foundation. It also has the most shades out of all of the lines that MAC carries, so you are more than likely to find your shade in Studio Fix Fluid than you are in any other line of foundations that MAC carries, for that simple reason. They've added shade extensions over and over and over again, and I'm sure that they are not going to stop. They're probably going to be adding a whole lot more, just because they want to make sure that things get done correctly and that everybody's matched and everybody has a color. It's also one of the only lines that has a extensive very light shade and a very dark shade. So you can find the lightest shade, I believe, is in W10, and then the darkest shade is in W58. So it really has a huge range. This particular foundation, I would like to use it with a 170 again. That brush it's a great brush. It puts it on the skin so nicely. It, like I said earlier, looks really airbrushed. I use it all the time on clients, and they are like, oh my god, I would have never thought that you used that brush to put this foundation on. I've always heard that this foundation is really heavy, but it doesn't look heavy when you use that brush. So that's the trick to it. And also, I will give you a tip. Whenever I use Studio Fix Fluid, I usually put it on something like a palette or a petri dish or something, and I always pull away from whatever it is that I put there instead of going straight into it. Simply because it's easier to maneuver on the skin, to spread it out, to evenly disperse it, as opposed to putting a whole lot of product on the brush and then trying to spread it out all over the skin. It just makes it more difficult for you. So do little by little and then spread it over the skin, and you'll get a more even coverage with that particular foundation. Alright, so we're rounding out our foundations with MAC. We have one more line of foundations, which is Pro Longwear. So Pro Longwear has two different foundations within its line itself, or within its family. So